So we got another crazy topic. It's a very viral topic. A lot is happening around freedom of speech at this time, ever
Mm.
since that man was publicly executed. And child, you can't even be indifferent or anything, because the right, as they call themselves, have been going crazy. Like the whole narrative, like it's so much. Did y'all see the text messages that were leaked
Yeah, I heard
or
that they
dropped?
don't even sound
No.
right. I
They
saw
gone.
yeah, they sound like somebody older wrote them.
Very much so. It was
No.
just like the biggest thing that stood out to me was squad car. I have never ever heard a person at that age refer to
A cop
police as
car.
squad car. I was like, what in the hell? Amongst other things, because I'm like, you giving your full play by play, it didn't even make sense. But recently, we have to talk about Jimmy Kimmel, who was removed, or at least his show was suspended because he said something on his show. This is what he said. He says, we hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to categorize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. All right. Now, when he said this, a lot of people are feeling like it wasn't that bad, but unfortunately, they decided to go ahead and suspend his show because they felt like it was that bad. But more so, they're saying that the company that owns the network that his show is on, which is Nextstar, I believe they said, sent like some letter or whatnot because they were afraid of the ramifications that would come from this administration. But it's weird because Nextstar is trying to, matter of fact, I'm going to let somebody else explain all of this because I think he's going to do a way better job than me. So let's get into it.
So how do we make sense of the fact that late night host Jimmy Kimmel indefinitely lost his show because of comments he made Monday night in which he said that the MAGA gang was really trying hard to prove that Charlie Kirk's assassin was not one of theirs so that they could score political points? That's what he said. Well, follow the money. In August, Nextstar, the largest owner of TV stations, local TV stations in the country, announced that they wanted to purchase their rival Tegna for more than $6 billion. Now, in order for that deal to go through, Nextstar would need the approval of the Federal Communications Commission. And in fact, they would need the FCC to lift the cap, a 39% cap that the FCC has, which is a rule that states no company can own enough TV stations to reach more than 39% of the households in the United States. And this deal going through would violate that cap. The current chair of the FCC, Brendan Carr, he earlier this year said that he would be willing to entertain lifting what he called arcane artificial limits on how many TV stations any one company can own. Okay, so that's where we are. Nextstar wanting to get the FCC's approval, the FCC commissioner making it clear that his mind is open. Today, Wednesday, the FCC commissioner goes on a podcast, a MAGA podcaster, and makes it very clear that he did not like the comments that Jimmy Kimmel made on Monday night. He calls Kimmel talentless. And then he says,
so I think, again, Disney needs to see some change here, but the individual licensed stations that are taking their content, it's time for them to step up and say, this, garbage, to the extent that that's what comes down the pipe in the future, isn't something that we think serves the needs of our local communities. But this sort of status quo is obviously not acceptable where we are.
You believe that?
So he's calling on local TV stations to reject the Jimmy Kimmel show. That was posted on Twitter or X at 1:01 p.m. Wednesday. Within hours, Nextstar makes the announcement that the company's owned and partnered television stations affiliated with ABC will preempt Jimmy Kimmel because they object to recent comments made by Kimmel. And then, shortly after that, ABC television network announced that they were suspending Kimmel's show. And so, while there are no doubt people who are legitimately offended by what Kimmel said, and no doubt tensions are high and feelings are fraught, there is also a lot of money to be made. And there are also a lot of people who want to endear themselves to the FCC commissioner and President Trump.
So it sounds like they went ahead and suspended Jimmy because they're trying to work on this deal of getting a lot more TV stations or whatever, and he may be potentially jeopardizing that. Now, this other company came out, and I think it's I'm not sure what it's called. It starts with the S. I don't know if it's Starlight, Spotlight, whichever one. But basically, what they're saying is this ain't enough. Okay, for him to lose his show, it's not enough. What they're saying is they want him to is Sinclair. Thank you, Sinclair. Sinclair is saying that they want them to, number one, replace Jimmy's show, the time slot, with a tribute or whatever to Charlie Kirk. And then they also want him to donate a large amount of money to Charlie Kirk's family. Right. So basically, do all of this in good faith if you want us to make this deal right, or whatever the case is, for you to own so many shows or TV stations or whatever. It's really giving scratch my back out, scratch yours type of thing. Comply so we can continue to push whatever narrative it is that we're pushing. Another thing I want to highlight before I get you guys' thoughts is, first things first, this is what Trump had to say. Great news for America. The ratings challenge. Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert. All right. Because y'all know Colbert ended up, Stephen Colbert's show was canceled, I believe, over the summer for something. So they're saying, he says that leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC. All right. Now, of course, President Trump says after years of complaining about cancel culture, the current administration has taken it to a new and dangerous level by routinely threatening regulatory action against media companies unless they muzzle or fire reporters and commentators it doesn't like. And this is what Kamala said. What we are witnessing is an outright abuse of power. This administration is attacking critics and using fear as a weapon to silence anyone who would speak out. Media corporations, from television networks to newspapers, are catapulting to these threats. All right. She says we cannot dare to be silent or complacent in the face of this frontal assault on free speech. We, the people, deserve better. All right. What are your thoughts on that? That was a lot to take in.
Yeah, no, I definitely say, I was just saying before I came up here that I'm gonna cancel my Hulu. I haven't done it yet, but I will, and I really don't want to, but I'm going to. And it's because as somebody that is a former journalist and that worked at a news station that was purchased by a certain group, and how that group affected how we were able to tell the truth of the news, this is how I realized how the news is curated, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years it has gotten more and more problematic, and I feel like this is going to be terrible for the people that work at those news stations and shit, because that's another thing y'all don't understand. Like, what ends up, like, so it's a bunch of local affiliate stations, right? A conglomerate group will own them, and them owning more means that they would then streamline everything will look exactly the same, and they will be able to pay those people less money because they don't have a competitive market. So because they own more of the TV stations, that means these people won't be able to go other places to get more money or to get, a better quality of a job. It will basically imprison a lot of the people that work for those stations. And I know this because it was what was happening when I was still at my news station. And that's somebody that does YouTube now, full time and for a living. As a Black person, I've always known that the reason why I'm not as big as I could be is because of the things that I say. And I have always felt that I would rather do this honestly, the way I do it, than not, than do it at all. Like, if I can't do it the way I feel I should do it, which is honestly that I don't want to do it. Like, I love my job. I love what I do now. I love how I'm able to get up here and talk my shit, and it's meaningful for people because it's meaningful for me. But the idea of them doing this to everybody, white girl, don't call me white girl, Mona just said that she did a podcast about Charlie Kirk, and YouTube said, I think the fuck not, and took the whole thing down. And I didn't experience that. And I hope it's because
Nah,
I'm very careful about the way that I speak, and also because I'm not that big. There are a lot of times where being smaller saves you
for sure.
from people seeing you. You know what I'm saying? But you still get to affect, the culture in a way. But yeah, y'all, like, that's very scary for me. So I felt like I definitely have to do something about that because I'm somebody that would be directly affected by the freedom of speech situation. And I would care anyway. Like, I'm actually annoyed about a lot of this shit anyway. And it's very depressing. And I've been really I ain't gonna lie, I've been kind of down about it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels
Yeah.
Heavy.
Yeah, it
That's
does.
what I was gonna say. All of this for me has been extremely overwhelming. Like extremely overwhelming, anxiety feeling. What is happening? I don't really know what to make of all of it. Like,
It's
what
giving
do we do?
it's giving
Like,
pre-Holocaust vibes. And
yes,
I've been saying that, but that's what it's given and that's what it's been given. And I want us to take that seriously because we don't remember what that was like when that was happening because that was what 60, 70 years ago or some shit. It's probably
Mhm.
longer than that, but my mind is still in the 90s or the early 2000s when I think about how many years we are away from shit that happened in like the 50s and the 40s and shit.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
essentially, like what happened in, what happened in the Holocaust. The beginnings of that was the propaganda. The beginnings of that was a tyrannical leader that was able to dictate what the media said and
Mhm.
was able to push people out and expel people and kick people out of neighborhoods and is telling on people shit. That's another thing. The people getting fired from their jobs, their co-workers are telling on them. That type of surveillance of your neighbors, the type of distrust that creates in the community.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Oh my
You're
God.
exactly right. I am glad that people are speaking out and doing the research. People who are not like myself, because I don't have the emotional bandwidth. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I'm thankful for the people who do, because then they could let us know these are the networks you need to boycott. These are the things you need to do. Because small things like that, I'm like, okay, cool. I can do this to try to stand up for what's right. But other than that, on a day to day, just really consuming all of that can be depressing as fuck. But it'll be even more depressing once everything kicks into effect and we don't have no rights.
1000%. I'm so glad you said that. Because yeah, I found myself down a political rabbit hole for the past week or so. So
Have
it's
you
very
been
depressing.
have you been getting
But
into the
Hmm.
Groyper shit?
and who?
The Groyper shit?
A little, just not a whole lot. A little. Is the Groyper connected to that? What is that man's name? It's a funny new.
Nick Fuentes is who the
Yes,
Groypers are
Fuentes.
connected to. He was the one that said, "Your body,
Yes.
my choice." That went viral on our side of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to make this point to my homeboy, but a lot of black men have a hard time with the truth. I'm sorry to say it,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't realize that the misogyny that they have connects them to that side of the ultra white people. They don't get it, but it does.
Mm-hmm.
So how I imagine it, the Nick Fuentes, Charlie Kirk, Andrew Tate, Kevin Samuels. Now we're on the black side of it. Like so
Anton, what's that man name? Anton something. Is it Anton Daniels who's problematic on YouTube? He's a black man.
I don't know him, but I'm just
Yeah, I've
saying,
come
like,
across this content and it's
it's
hate black women. Is that
okay. So like they're
Trump.
doing it on both sides, and we've noticed. Like I've even been saying, like the way certain crowd, like there is a crowd of black people that act like MAGA. Like it's it's like
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on, girl. But yeah, no, it's
You
alarming.
know, when you talked about, freedom of speech and doing this full time and how that's important to us, it's like not even just because we do it full time. For me, I'm like, y'all, what if y'all have an issue with a company or something? At some point when they get it to where you can't speak out against him, then it's going to trickle down to their corporations and stuff that they got a hand in to where you can't really speak out or say anything about their
Hmm.
companies. So yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. I knew that when this happened to that guy, that it was going to be used for something, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was going to be. But I knew it was going to be used in the benefit of that side and the
Yeah.
way that they have been amazing at manipulating, and you have people that follow them as closely as you've had people to follow Kevin Samuels and Anton Daniels and more is so insane. And another thing as to why why we might not be as big as some other people is because I've learned that a lot of y'all, not y'all, but y'all love people that lie to y'all. Y'all don't go out and seek the facts sometimes for y'allself, and y'all love these folks that lie to y'all. And it makes me cringe sometimes when I see how many supporters some of these people have, whether they're on YouTube or they got a podcast or whatever the case is, and y'all just follow them in droves and don't fact check and then just be riding the wave. And I'll never understand that. And I'd be like, yo, I can imagine what your real life is like if you enjoy being lied to that damn much. It's really sad.
It
But I ain't talking
is.
to y'all. I'm talking to y'all.
You know what we saying.
But it's crazy. I hate that we live in that type of world, but this is where we are. I personally don't think that, in my opinion, if I was Jimmy, I did hear he's trying to get out his contract, because keep in mind, they suspended him. They didn't end that contract.
Right.
So I feel like when you end that contract, you likely gonna have to, you forfeit probably potentially some coins, because it didn't sound like he really did anything bad. Like usually, it would be a situation of go online and retract your statement, make an apology, move forward. No, they're not even giving people the opportunity to apologize, acknowledge anything. It's we stripping you. And the same way they stripping people from positions, they stripping rights. Stripping. And it's sad, but I won't give nobody a dime. Like, what? How can you
Yeah, he really didn't say much.
to ask me to give money out my own pocket? No. And let me tell you, I think what Nextstar is trying to do, this deal may be about $6 billion or something like that, however many stations they're trying to buy. I don't know what they owe Jimmy Kimmel. But my question is, should he sue y'all? Because he was going to his attorney's office. He is trying to get out this contract. Should he sue y'all? How much would that potentially affect y'all? Because not only
Not
did
much.
he end the contract early, but if you ain't got nothing in your bylaws and you have clauses to where he can make such political comments or whatever as jokes or whatever, if y'all violated his contract, you may owe him more than what you actually owe him. So that's just gonna be real interesting.
And I'm sure they do, because imagine, do you know how long, y'all know how long he's been on the air? Imagine how many similar or like comments he's made. It was like,
He would
yeah, I'd
definitely
be
win
interested to see.
Yes. Lawsuit. A lot of people are gonna win lawsuits once these things actually get into court, because this shit is really unconstitutional. Like, that's why nobody has ever done it before. Because before, like, somebody played an old clip of George Bush from 2011 talking about how he feels like America is at its best when we're all collectively working towards the betterment of it. And when he said it, and you could tell he really like meant it. You could tell it wasn't him bullshitting anybody. He was just basically saying, like, we need other people to do the jobs that y'all don't want to do, that y'all may not like to do. Like, we need them. We need other people to be able to come here and do this. And this place is better when we are in that space. That's somebody that probably can remember times where there weren't as many people adding to America's fabric, and then getting into a place where it is all of these different types of people. Now y'all got all these different types of food, and just all of this culture in different places that makes America different based on where you go. That's enjoyable for most people. And so I feel like it's so funny how we grew up on Republicans that were way more moderate than we even realized, because we didn't realize how crazy you motherfuckers could actually become. It's crazy.
It is. And what's crazier for me, the thoughts that I have is, yes, it's starting out with a few people on television. I believe there was a writer named Karen Atia that got snatched from, can't remember who she was writing for, but they stopped her because of whatever her comments were.
Washington Post?
I think it could have been. I'm not sure if it's that or New York Times, but she just pretty much put up an exact quote of what the man that passed away said.
Yeah.
And they were like, you gotta go. All because she just quoted what he said. Then you got Jimmy. So here's where I'm going with it, right? When Don Lemon got snatched, right? Where did Don go? Don came over to the YouTube, right?
Doing very well right now.
Are coming over to the YouTube. When you snatching these people up, they're coming over to the YouTube. Now I'm gonna say this too. This is a little funny, because at once upon a time, y'all used to look down on YouTubers. Y'all used to talk a lot of SHI, but then y'all running over here. Okay, what did Nikki say? Diss me, but then they running to take the same route. But aside from that, we appreciate you. It may add a bit more validation or whatever. However, the concern then comes to where once the media on that side, right? Mass media, public, major, is censored, and now y'all voices, because keep in mind, people not really watching TV like they used to.
No, they not.
They watching them apps, but they primarily watching YouTube. That's why Netflix wants to get in and compete. So with that being said, then they're going to try to migrate over in this area at some point. Who knows if or when? You know what I'm saying? Trying to control that space as well. And I don't know, this is one of those situations where you sit back and you think things are not going to affect you like so many other times. And It is. And, even if I wasn't doing this job, it's still the fact that, if I got an issue with a company, or I feel like this, or this was malpractice, or like, well, I
I
got to
should
go
be
through
able to
groups
say that.
to say, like, yeah, like, come on. If you
Yes.
think this ain't connected to people, and a lot of politicians are connected to a lot of companies, and I am going to feel like, I do believe it's a lot of these insurance companies, because I feel like they're a scam. But anyway, a lot of these politicians are connected to companies. So if you think that at some point you're not going to be able to speak out against, an administration, that administration is going to start going to corporations, and then other businesses, and then other things and other things. So it's just like, I don't know. It's crazy. So if you think you ain't bothered, you might want to get a little bothered. You might want to tap in just a little piece. Don't worry yourself. Don't stress yourself. You know what I'm saying? Don't live
Right.
in fear, but live in knowledge. Like, be aware
Yeah,
of what's
be
going
aware.
on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot
Living
of
knowledge is
people that
great.
didn't know
Yeah.
what the fuck was going on. When I was talking to somebody and they was like, they didn't know what a incel was. They didn't know what the alt-right was. I was like, what do you mean you don't know what the alt-right?
Oh wow.
Like, what do you mean? And this is because there are so many people not watching the news, and they're in an echo chamber on the internet. So they don't watch anything outside of that. My generation does not like to watch the news or read newspapers. I don't read the newspaper, but y'all know I am in the news. I could totally ignore that side of it if I wanted to, but I just cannot. Like, I was not raised that way. I was raised to know what the fuck is going on. And
Sure.
yeah, this is
For sure.
yeah, it's a lot.